Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Astrologer podcast. This is Deb McBride, and I am broadcasting from lovely Escazú, Costa Rica, where it is raining. And it's actually only 5 in the afternoon here, but it's pouring. And so if you do hear some hissing in the background, it's raining. Not much I can do about it. That's up to Mother Nature, and she's watering the garden for me, so I'm not going to complain. It is Sunday, the 13th of June, 2021, and I am happy to be here with you, and we have a lot to discuss, so let's get into it. First of all, this afternoon, Mars met the moon, or the moon met Mars, actually, in Leo. So Mars went into Leo the other day, and this is a good thing because Mars is a fiery planet, and it likes to be in a fiery sign, and Leo's a fire sign. So this is, for the next 6 weeks, we have Mars in Leo, and Moon kind of triggered it this afternoon, and, aside from the obvious, did you have heated emotions today? Yeah, there's that. But the fact is, we have had no fire, with the exception of the moon once in a while, in the sky in a while, okay, since things were in Aries. All right, so it's now Gemini season. We're way out of Aries season, and I know there were lots of things in Aries at the time, but this is a different story. We have Chiron in Aries, but it's not a planet. It's an asteroid, comet, whatever they feel like calling it right now. But Mars is substantial. Mars is substantial and will be in Leo for 6 weeks. And that's good. That takes us into Leo season, when the sun and Venus is going to go into Leo, and the sun will go into Leo, and so there will be planets in Leo. And one of the things that's important is that the elements are balanced. So we know we have air because we're in Gemini right now, and we do have Saturn in Aquarius, and we know we have water because Neptune is in water, is in Pisces. Jupiter's there right now, and we know we have Earth because Pluto and Uranus are in Earth signs. Pluto's in Capricorn, Uranus is in Taurus. So this is really a good balance. Now we have some fire. Now we feel like being motivated. Now we feel like we have energy to do things. Now we get excited. Now we get passionate. And it's more important to sort of channel that energy to something passionate, and to our confidence and our motivated energies. And it's because all this other stuff, we've been hanging out in water for a long time. And Mars has been in Cancer for a long time. Venus has been in Cancer. We've got all this Neptune and Jupiter. There's been a lot of water, and mostly like air and water. And it's inspiring in a creative sense that we are sensitive and, empathic and, water intuitive, so it's inspiring in those senses. But to get up and go, not a whole lot of that energy, not a whole lot. So I'm happy that we've got some good fire going right now. It's a fiery planet and a fiery sign, and this makes good energy for us. Okay, now, despite the motivation, we had that eclipse the other day, and how did you do? How was the eclipse for you? Despite the motivation, there is all this business with, there was the eclipse, and everything was squaring Neptune, and Neptune is in water, it's in Pisces, and what's going on now? And there's so much intense stuff that's continuing. Okay, the eclipse itself, like if you watched my Instagram, you'll know that I woke up at the moment of the eclipse the other day, and I woke up feeling like, like that seasick kind of feeling you get when you feel, it's a combination of anxiety and dread, and it's the feeling of being eclipsed, and then it dispersed. And that's once the eclipse passed, once that moon got past the sun, and it's no longer blocking the sun's energy, we were then feeling a little better. Now, I went back to sleep, thankfully, because it was 5 a.m. here when that happened. And I think I'd only fallen asleep shortly before midnight. So that was not enough sleep. So, but it's this, and in the last one, 2 weeks ago, I felt that same blah, when the eclipse happened, and I woke up feeling like that. And while I wasn't on a boat and I wasn't seasick and this was not in a water sign, there was enough eclipse energy that surfaces that makes you feel like you're being engulfed. And there was this square from the sun and the moon to Neptune. Now, the moon did its thing that day. The moon moved through the sign of Gemini, the end of the sign of Gemini. The eclipse was at 19 degrees. Neptune's at 23. And it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, that's not exact. No, it's not exact, but it's enough. It's enough. And the moon touched that Neptune. It squared Neptune. And, there were things during the day that I felt were definitely ecliptic. Now, this eclipse combined with the other one got you fed up. This one got you to true north, okay? The last one made you say, I can't do this anymore, because the moon was going over the south node, and the lunar eclipse was at the south node. And that was the one that made you feel like, I'm not doing something right here, or something needs to shift and change here. This is the one that helped you point your boat to true north, okay? Point your compass to true north. And it was, it was sort of more of the same, I felt, but it was more definitive. Like, okay, I know now that I have to clear the obstacles. Now, remember last week I said you can get there from here. And Neptune was going to be the thing that confused us. And right now we are in that confusion. So give me a minute, I'll be back to that. Remember I said you can get there from here. So it felt a little insurmountable. But this eclipse, I felt the energy shift. I felt the energy move from, I don't know how on earth I'm going to get there, to, I can get there. I can get there. And there are obstacles, and I just need to make myself aware of my obstacles. And obstacles usually mean, okay, there's like some physical obstacles, but there's usually a deep-seated fear. If something big is about to transform in your life, and that's what's going on, there's a deep-seated fear. Okay, so each and every one of us has to confront this deep-seated fear. Now, how we go about doing that is an individual experience and journey. Today, the sun is at 23 degrees of Gemini. It is exactly squaring Neptune today, okay? So this means we have to wade through the cosmic waters, as we often do when there's some tough, relationship to Neptune, and we have to connect with the innermost part. And people are tired of hearing me say go within, but I don't care. That's what we have to do. Neptune, outer planets, they escort us to the unknown, okay? And you got to swim. You got to swim with Neptune. You have to and you got to follow the current, and you got to rest a little bit too. Neptune is a planet of sleep and dreams. So maybe you slept in a little bit this weekend. That's good. Maybe you needed it after that eclipse. If you woke up feeling engulfed like I did the other day, then you are probably feeling like you needed a little extra sleep this weekend. And sometimes things come to you in your sleep when you rest. If we don't process and rest, we don't get answers and synchronicities and things we need. That's why meditation's important. You're resting your mind. You're just allowing it to flow and go someplace, okay? Or you're directing it, as I do, into a certain level of awareness, or into there's a focus, there's a guidance, okay? So as I speak and the rain gets harder, Neptune is something that is not going to reveal itself very clearly. So when the sun squares Neptune, yes, it became clear the other day that we had a journey, and we know what the journey is, and we know what we're doing, okay? It's just that the details, Gemini, are not clear. And today, in particular, they are very confusing. Why? Because the sun is squaring Neptune. The sun, the life force, the energy that drives us. All right? That life force is saying, I'm confused. Wait, I'm feeling kind of like this, but I'm not entirely sure if that's real or if it's a fear. Now, if you were wading through your fears during the week and you were connecting the dots to whatever things that you're trying to achieve and accomplish, where you want to get there from here, you are probably used to confronting certain fears, or you confronted a whole bunch of fears this week. Okay, I know I did. And maybe you wrote them down. I wrote them down. I had 12 pages of, but this could happen, that could happen, I'm afraid of this. Just blowing it out on the page so that it has a place to go, okay? Because thinking about them and saying, ooh, there's this, isn't really enough. You have to put it down somewhere so it's sort of concrete, and you've established, you put it in a container, and that container is your journal. Or unless you do a video, like maybe you like to do video diary on your computer or your phone. But the important thing is it went somewhere. You're not just floating around with your fears, okay? So one of the things that's so confusing about this is that Neptune is showing you something where you're trying to wade through something and you don't know if it's like, okay, I want to promote my new book, but I don't have a good feeling about doing it this way. Maybe this isn't the right book. Maybe this isn't what I should be doing. Maybe the promotion isn't the right way. Maybe. And everything is maybe, because outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, take us into the unknown. And they are uncharted territory. And we have to have enormous faith, and especially with Neptune, and we have to have some motivation. Thank you, Mars. Okay? So not having a sense of where we're going is an outer planet thing, especially with Neptune. I mean, and I can't say that, if Pluto was the thing it was squaring, what would happen? I don't know where I'm going, and I'm scared. I have to transform? What? I don't know what I'm transforming. Outer planets do this, okay? And that is why they're special. That's why they're so special to us. It's not like, okay, it's Mercury and I'm going to take a walk around the block and I know what that looks like. I'm going to the grocery store and I'm going to walk home. You know what that looks like. Mercury does not provide dramatic openings except when it's squaring Neptune like it's been doing. So, we had information come forward during the eclipse, and now some of that information is confusing. How much of it is fear? How much of it is real? How much of it is not real? How much of it is, okay, I don't think I should be doing this, I should be doing that. So instead of doing A, I think I should be doing B. Well, is doing B really the truth, Neptune? Or is doing B responding to the fear of doing A? In other words, maybe you're doing something. Maybe you're like, I think we're going to sell our house and move. But maybe you don't want to sell your house and move. Maybe it's just some sort of fear that, you're running away from something by selling and going away, okay? You get the gist. There may be something for you that is within this conundrum of Neptune, Sun square Neptune, and it's giving you pause, and you're saying, I don't know if what I'm doing is the right thing, or I don't know the details of what I'm doing. Then you need to take a step back, not go forward, and be with yourself, okay? And understand the journey. So I always talk about going within. Yeah, Neptune's one of those planets where you got to sit down and meditate and rest. Take a nap. Watch a movie. Do something that's resting. Just close your eyes. And sometimes just closing your eyes and sitting in the chair and listening to the rain brings all sorts of things forward. So don't struggle be with Neptune. Neptune is a flowing planet. But remember, outer planets do not give us answers until we go through the process. It's not going to be forever. It's just right now it's confusing. And guess what? Tomorrow we have more. Tomorrow Saturn squares Uranus. Tomorrow afternoon on Monday the 14th, in this region of the world in the afternoon, we are experiencing the second of 3 squares of Saturn to Uranus. Okay, so Saturn says, all right, I am fixed in this position. Saturn's in a fixed sign right now, and so is Uranus. And I'm in this position, and now everything works together, right? Saturn and Uranus are not separate from all the eclipses and the enlightenment that we've received from the eclipses. So Saturn and Uranus are both in fixed signs, and they're both at 13 degrees. Saturn's at 13 degrees Aquarius. Uranus is at 13 degrees of Taurus. And Saturn is saying, I'm holding back. I'm not moving forward. And Uranus is saying, I want to break through. I need to break through. Now, this is where this gets complicated. Saturn is all the reasons why I should stay exactly as I have. Uranus is all the reasons why you have to break through all the old paradigms and move forward. And what's happening, and this is nice and confusing, is that, and you'll see what I mean when we look at it in the light of Neptune and the eclipses, Saturn and Uranus are very different energies, and they're squaring, which is a challenge, and Saturn is saying, but I'm afraid that I'm going to get stuck here. I'm afraid that I'm going to get stuck right where I am. Okay? That's why we have Uranus, to get us unstuck from where we are. So Uranus is championing that, like, yes, we are going to move forward. It's time to change. Enough is enough. We've got to get out of this situation that has been long overdue. All right? And Saturn is saying, but I'm afraid to get out of this situation. So here's Saturn saying, one, I'm afraid I'm going to get stuck here. And Uranus says, no, don't worry. We're going to get through this. And then Saturn also says, I'm afraid to change. And Uranus says, you have to change. You have no choice. So this is nice and complicated. Because what I'm discovering is there is a place where each and every one of us needs to break through and make a promise to ourselves. So I've heard so many things from people. I'm going to finally lose this weight. I'm finally going to exercise and go on to an exercise protocol. I'm finally going to organize my computer. I'm finally going to get organized in my finances, etc., etc., etc. I'm finally going to leave this dead-end job and start my own business. I'm finally going to, everybody has had it. And they're saying, this is it. I need to change this. I need to change this. So changing it means you have to trust Uranus. Because trusting Uranus is putting you in the arms of another outer planet and the unknown. So we've got the Sun squaring Neptune today, which is the unknown. And we've got the Saturn-Uranus square, which is Uranus saying, we've got to trust the unknown. You got to trust me. You got to trust me on this one, buddy. And Saturn saying, oh my God, I'm afraid of changing and I'm afraid of staying the same. And so this is really in our face right now because the Sun is saying, I need steps, I need direction, I need a list. That's old Gemini. I need a list of things to do to get to the other side of this confusion called Neptune that's not clear on how I'm supposed to go about doing this. Okay, I really need the steps listed for me on how to do this. And then you get the steps and somebody says, here are the steps, or some things, and you say, that doesn't sit right with my intuition. That something's off about that. Yeah, because it's Neptune. Because you're not clear. And all you know is one thing, you can't stay where you are. And Saturn is afraid to stay where you are. Saturn's like, oh my God, I cannot stay where I am. Uranus is saying, you're right. You can't stay where you are. Uranus is saying, you can't stay where you are. And Uranus is saying, oh my God, like, God forbid it stays stagnant. It stays the same. Oh my God. And Saturn is saying, right, like the fear of living my life over and over again the same way is just not possible. But at the same time, because Saturn's an Aquarius, and Aquarius is like, change, 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 let's do it, let's go, let's change. But then Saturn, being Saturn, says, maybe it's like, I've grown comfortable with this, Maybe I've grown comfortable with this. And Uranus is all for the change, Uranus is all for the change. And it's interesting because you could say, well, Deb, Uranus is the one saying, let's make those changes. And oh my God, I can't stay here. But there's a fear of changing things. And there's a fear of staying stuck. And Saturn rules fear, not Uranus. So I think that the fear that Saturn is presenting is the innovation of Aquarius is like, okay, I've got to think of something that gets me out of this. And the comfort of Saturn itself of like, oh, there's 10,000 reasons why I should stay exactly how I am. Complicated. And Neptune is not letting us really see the way forward. So it's a little overwhelming. It's a little confusing. It's actually a lot confusing. And it is asking us, we are being asked to take a step forward. Now, if you cannot possibly take a step forward, then you have to make a plan. Like right now, you might be jammed. Saturn squares Uranus. Oh my goodness. You are in a jam. And you're like, I've got to break through this. I can't stay in this spot. I've got to break through this. And mentally with Gemini, all that Gemini, and North Node Mercury retrograde, and the Sun, and Saturn and Aquarius, mentally, we really need to like not think about the same thing over and over again. We need to stop going around in circles in our head about what we're going to do. Because that's what we're doing. We're going around in circles in our head. Now Mars has provided us with action. And it's going to be one of those things where we have to take steps. But it's so complicated. All of it is feeding into each other. And that's the nature and beauty of astrology. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. Saturn and Uranus are not happening on their own all by themselves. They started a cycle back on February 17th. What were you doing on February 17th? Did you start something that is, maybe like testing you right now, pushing you to the limit? Are you being pushed to the limit with whatever thing you committed to back in February? I know I am. I'm being pushed to the limit. And you have to break that limit. You have to, because Saturn is showing you where you need to break the limits. Thank you, Saturn. But it's also providing the limits. It's also showing you where you're limited, and it is the very thing that is limiting you. So the fear, the anxiety, the comfort level that you're at comfort level is no longer comfortable. It's really uncomfortable. And in order for us to change, we have to get uncomfortable. I had read something somewhere many years ago that the only person that likes change is a wet baby. Isn't that the truth? Don't babies scream to have their diapers changed? Do we want change? Yeah, on a certain level, on a conscious level we do, but on a very deep level, we don't really want we don't want things to get ruffled. We want to stay put. We want to stay, comfy, cozy. And there's a desperation, I feel, between the Sun squaring Neptune, because if I could only see what I'm supposed to be doing. What are the steps? Like, I know what I'm going to be doing. I know I'm going to get there. But nothing suits my intuitive senses. So that means you got to go back to your intuitive senses and just be with them and allow them to surface and get quiet. And get quiet and allow yourself to know that what's coming is the right thing and that you have to commit to the incredible journey that is waiting to embrace you in the unknown. Okay? You don't know how it's going to resolve itself. You don't know how it's going to happen. All you do know is it's going to happen. Okay? So, say you're trying to change jobs. Say you're trying to find your mate. Say you know, and you know that person is there. Say you anything. Say like, I've got to increase my income, or say I have to find a new place to live, or any of those hurdles that we go through in life. We're all going through one of them. I've got to lose weight, or I've got to change my diet so I get healthier, or whatever it is. There's a hurdle. It's going to break through and change your life. But Saturn and Uranus in their dynamic are like alternating places of fear and breaking through, and fear of staying, fear of going, fear of staying where you are, fear of actually embracing something that's going to change your life. But you don't want to stay where you are. So we are betwixt and between. We are in transition, each of us. And it is raining really hard right now. It is so important to make this transition, but do be kind to yourself and don't criticize yourself, and allow yourself to become the agent of change. Okay? And I know right now it's confusing. Okay, it's confusing. It is confusing because, like, maybe you want some plan B to appear and go, oh, that's it. Maybe that really isn't it. And that's Neptune. What's the truth? Is plan A the truth, or is there another plan B that's the truth? And if plan B is the truth, then you may have to start over again on some level, because you've already been working on plan A for a really long time. And so it's a complicated time. When outer planets get involved and make exact aspects, we are in the midst of a deep change. And we are in the midst of giving over to the unknown. And we are in the midst of having faith that we are going to come through this. And that's what all of us have to have right now. Okay? We have to have that. So write down your fears and anxieties. Go to the page. Write everything down. Spew it out like a volcano. Get rid of it. Look at it. Acknowledge it. Clear it. And I've been saying to myself, it's like digging and clearing. You know, it's like we're digging in deep. We're acknowledging what the change needs to be and what the fears and anxieties are, and then we're clearing them. And just as you think you've gotten to the right level, another one shows up. Yesterday I felt great and energized after doing all that journaling. Today I feel confused. I get confused about things, and that's Neptune. So I just allow it. I have to. And I wade through it. In the meantime, other things are happening. Jupiter is slowing down. Jupiter is now really at 2 degrees of Pisces, and Jupiter is slowing down to retrograde next Sunday. So by the time we meet next Sunday, Jupiter will be retrograde. Jupiter retrogrades in the morning, you know, when you're having breakfast, if you're in the East Coast or the middle of the U.S. And, you know, it will, during Sunday brunch, Sunday breakfast, it will turn retrograde and at 2 degrees Pisces, because it will go back into Aquarius and spend the rest of the year until the 28th of December in Aquarius. It doesn't go into Aquarius right away. It still has to slowly turn around and move backwards from 2 degrees to 1 degree to 0 degrees and then back into Aquarius. So we're not going to see, you know, that for a little while. And it really isn't until the 28th of July that it goes back into Aquarius. And then at the same time, the next day, Mars is in Virgo, but I'm getting way ahead of myself because that's the end of July, and we're really only at the 13th of June. So we are really, going to review where Jupiter's taken us. Remember, Jupiter stepped into Pisces for a short amount of time, and it made that big conjunction with Saturn last December. It's not finished its work in Aquarius. And so these last weeks have given you a glimpse of what you're going to see in next year when Jupiter goes into Pisces. But Jupiter won't stay in Pisces for a long time next year. It's like half the year. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. Jupiter is giving you a glimpse of what needs to be done and what's going to happen next year. And right now, we have to focus on getting through the struggle of between Saturn and Uranus, and how we are vacillating between fears and anxieties and stepping forward and not stepping forward. There's no way you're not going to shift and change. There's no way. You are going to. We all have to. And whatever that means for you. So, on that note, let us see. We have the moon in Leo right now. The moon is in Leo until Tuesday, the 15th, when it will void in the early afternoon Eastern time, and it will do that after the moon sextiles the sun. It will stay void all afternoon Eastern time until it goes into Virgo later that night. And, so it's kind of a long void on Tuesday. It's really like till 1:30, from 1:30 in the afternoon till like 11 o'clock at night. So most of Tuesday, the moon is void in Leo, and then it goes into Virgo. So then it's Virgo all day Wednesday, it's Virgo Thursday, but all day, and then at 11:54 p.m. Eastern time, it goes void in Virgo, and then it goes into Libra before you get up in the morning on Friday. So it's really not traveling much. It's Leo, it's Virgo. By the time Friday comes, it'll be going into Libra. And that's where we'll spend most of next weekend until it goes into Scorpio on Sunday morning, Eastern time. It won't be a long void. That's because we are seeing the planets like the sun at the end of a sign. The solstice is next Sunday, the 20th, but it's not till 11:30 at night, Eastern time. So we've got a big day next Sunday as Jupiter retrogrades in the morning and the sun goes to Cancer, which is the summer solstice in the northeast or the northern hemisphere. And so this is the last week of spring, technically, if you live in those regions. And that's about it. So it's another week of post-eclipse recognitions, realizations, connections. Work with that Saturn-Uranus. Allow yourself the balance between, and the dynamics between being afraid and being like ready to plow forward, okay? There's a reason we're being held back too. Remember, there's things we still have to do. So the things we have to complete. Stay with yourself, get quiet, rest, listen carefully, okay? Mercury is still retrograde. And then the following week, when we meet again next Sunday, the 20th, we'll have lots to talk about because Mercury's going direct that week, Jupiter's going retrograde, and we've got our, solstice, and we've got the lunation that will kick out the eclipse period. So enjoy this week. Be with it. Remember what you learned at this eclipse and what it's been telling you, and keep moving in the direction forward. It's really important. May I give you all my gratitude, all my thanks for listening. If you'd like a session with me, you can book it on my website, thegoldenastrologer.com. Go to book online. My blog, I just wrote a blog this week. It's up. You could go to Astrologer's Thoughts on my website. If you're not on my mailing list, please join. You could go to my website, again, thegoldenastrologer.com, and there's a little box that pops up, and you can put your information in there and join my mailing list. And I'm on Instagram. I posted today a couple of times. And that's the Golden Astrologer also. I'm on Twitter at Deb Astrology. And I am grateful to all of you once again for listening. Have a beautiful week and, conquer those fears. Talk to you soon.